Villarreal,
Present.
Commissioner Ramirez,
Here.
Commissioner De Leon, Commissioner Olivares,
Here.
Commissioner Escobedo.
Present.
We have quorums.
Next business and orders, item C, public forum. Do we have any signed up for public forum?
No, sir, we don't.
Okay, for the record, no one signed up for public forum. Next item is 1D, departmental reports.
Yes, sir. Mr. Aguirre has a crowd.
Regia.
Yes, sir.
Great to see all these young faces of our future generations and leaders of tomorrow.
Good evening, Mayor Commissioners. First of all, I want to present to our kids. One female couldn't show up today. About our summer track program. Every year, TAF recognized 2 kids. It's a female and a male from each city. So this award, it's only for 1 male and 1 female. The male award was presented to Joe D. Mijares. He's here. And the female award was presented to Emma Herrera, but she couldn't show up today because she plays volleyball and football. Wow. So she couldn't make it today. But Joe's here. I want to present this flag to Joe Mijares.
Take a picture up here. Hey, Joe, get in the middle, son. Congratulations.
His parents would like to join us.
Pásale.
Mr. Guia. Congratulations. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Here we go, ready, 1, 2, and 3. One more. Here we go, 1, 2, and 3.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
Would the young man or parents like to say a few words?
Journey, actually.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Now, Mayor, I'm here to present this 6U team. But I know Robbie's here. He's the president of the Pony League. He knows more of the accomplishments these kids did. So he could speak for them.
Mr. Vasquez?
Mr. Vasquez?
Thank you, Mr. Dia. Good afternoon, Commissioners, Mayor. Before we get started, because I'd like to give thanks to the people that helped make this possible, besides the parents and the coaches and volunteers, but the Pony League board, if you could come up and stand with me, please. Eleazar Lopez, Claudia Villarreal, and Lino Ruiz. Not being able to be here today is Melissa Lopez. She's our treasurer. Okay. The 6U Pony League team, they are T-ball. Okay. We switched from Little League to Pony League to be a little bit more advanced, compete in the Valley. The 6U, the T-ball, they now have all-stars, all the way down to the 3- and 4-year-olds. But our 6U team, coached by Fabian Gonzalez, they worked hard and they were able to win invitational number 1 and number 2, which are tournaments that advance. They won sectionals. They finished 3rd place at regionals, advanced to super regionals in San Antonio. Finished 3rd, which qualified them for World Series in Youngsville, Louisiana, where they finished a strong 3rd as well, and 1st in their class. Okay, so these young men and women worked very hard, and they deserve all the credit. So I'd like to start with Coach Fabian Gonzalez. If you could come up, please. Well, I'm going to present this, but I know this is on behalf of the city. Coach, for your accomplishments, and you know what, I guess I'll read it so everybody can know what it says. It says, Certificate of Achievement presented to Fabian Gonzalez, Rio Grande City 6U All-Star Team Coach, in recognition of your outstanding participation in the 2023 World Series in Youngsville, Louisiana. On behalf of the city of Rio Grande City, thank you for representing our city with great respect. Coach Gonzalez, assistant coach, Israel Leal and Victor Leal. Congratulations, Coach. I know I haven't seen you guys in a while. Okay. Sing, you can stand over here. If we can bring the players up, first would be Axel Rios.
Thank you, man.
Come on up.
Awesome job.
Axel not here, okay.
Awesome job. Congratulations, brother.
Yair Garza. Christian Mateo Gonzalez. Aiden Leal. Javier de la Torre. Asiel Rincón. Asael. Oh, he's not here. Julián Treviño. Santos Eli Sosa. Dylan Rubalcalva. I think he's a shortstop, right? He's quick. Rogelio Garcia Lopez. Adam Leal. And last but not least, our only female, Angeli Alvirde.
Mayor, I want to give a plaque to the board too for dedicating their time. It's voluntary, I mean, so, for our community. So the president is Daniel Vasquez. Eliazar Lopez is our vice president. Melissa Lopez couldn't make it today. She's our treasurer. Our Pony League secretary, Claudia Villarreal. And our Pony League head umpire that's in charge of all the umpires, Lino Ruiz Jr. Yeah.
I'd like to point out real quick, I know we're presenting this team right here right now, but our league, we did send out 9 teams to All-Stars. Of the 9 teams, 5 of them advanced to sectionals, and of the 5 of them, 2 advanced to regionals, and then of course the 6U went on to World Series, and the girls lost at regionals, but they were invited anyway to the Pony International Girls Softball Tournament, which was held in McAllen, and they did outstanding for being coach pitched girls softball. It was girls softball. So they did outstanding as well. I know they're not here, but I would not like to, leave them out. They did a tremendous job. Thank you.
Here we go, ready? One, look over here, everybody. 1, 2, and 3. Oh, that's a good picture. Thank you.
Dale, have a good one.
You know that we know them, but we're yelling out our dog there. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Thank you.
Thank you all for joining us. Appreciate it.
I knew when I saw her. I said, that's clear. I saw her.
Thank you. What team does she play for?
Sure. Play for. Who do you play
What
for?
team do you play for?
What am I waiting for? Good evening, Mayor and Commission. Thank you so much for letting me have a few minutes of your time. I'm just here to invite you this weekend. We have a very busy weekend in downtown Rio Grande City. First of all, on Friday, we have at the Kelsey Bass Museum from 5 to 7 p.m. We have Lupe, which stands for La Unión del Pueblo Entero, along with the Center for Mexican American Studies out of UTRGV. They're going to be hosting a retrospective exhibit at the Kelsey Bass Museum, and the opening ceremony for this exhibit will be Friday from 5 to 7 at the Kelsey Bass Museum. And there will be speakers. There will be, of course, Mr. R.C. Salinas will also be there. So from 5 to 7, we will have Lupe. On Saturday, we have, I guess it's the second, I don't know if it's the second annual. I know we've had stuff at the Kiosco before, but this is our Grito en the Kiosco y Noche de Mercado, and I have Miss Valerie who is going to help me out. I'm giving each of you a little baggie with some goodies and an official invitation for this weekend. At the Grito, I know some of you heard, Yandere went ahead, Ms. De La Cruz gave an excellent, and Myra, an excellent explanation of what's going to happen this weekend. There will be music. Of course, it is combined with the Mercado that does wonderfully, I mean, exceptionally well. We have craft vendors and food vendors, but we will also have performers. Our Rio Grande City High School Mariachi will be there. We have a group from Camargo, a folkloric dancing group, that will also show up. I'm hoping the rain doesn't show up, but it's also in the forecast. There will be contests. We will have a tamale eating contest. I know someone asked about the jalapeno, but I couldn't get any takers last year, so I figured, you know what? Everyone likes tamales. So we're going to do the tamale eating contest. We're going to have piñata for the kids, candy bags for the kids. What else? Maybe a costume contest if I can get enough takers, and of course the Grito contest. And it has been suggested, Mr. Mayor, that you and I start off the festivities with a Grito. Of course, you're going to do the proclamation, so I'll see you there that evening. I hope to see all of you there. So thank you. And I know Mr. Escobedo, Commissioner Escobedo, and I have been trying valiantly to get a duet of La Reina y el Rey, but you never know. You never know. I know maybe out of commission, but someday we're going to make it happen. We're going to make it happen. So I hope to see all of you this weekend. Thank you.
So that's a challenge for the commissioners. We're going to Grito contest. I know Mr. Guerra's ready for a Grito contest. Here you go, Mr. Guerra. Anyone else before Metro? I forgot something. All right. Here you go, Mr. Grito
I forgot to mention our soccer team, our semi-pro soccer team. I mean, they're 3-0 right now. So going into the next round, so we'll see how it, we invite the public to go. Our next home game will be October the 7th at Rio High School. 6 o'clock.
We've been beating Laredo,
Laredo,
Roma.
Roma, and
Who we
Brownsville.
play next?
I want to say we're playing Roma next.
And if you haven't had a chance to get out there, it's phenomenal soccer. I mean, if you're a soccer fan, it's impressive what the skills that they have as far as the whole teams and phenomenal experience. So we certainly, the next one, we're going to have it here, and hopefully we can have an event there as far as a little cookout, give out to the teams, and again, just promote soccer here in the area. And again, the performances have been great, and the uniforms already came in, and they look phenomenal
Yes.
too. And I know the commissioners will have a jersey soon too.
Yeah, I see.
All right, thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much for your hard work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mayor, Commissioner, I'd like to report some work that we have been working on throughout the city. Projects that have been completed also. Plainview has been completed, on the TDA project has been completed. Reina Street, they're still working on it. Some issues came out with the water lines. They were gonna have to lower their water lines because they were too shallow. Okay, so they're gonna start working on that hopefully pretty soon. And striping. We started the striping throughout the city. Hopefully we'll get all the betweens done between Main and Second within pretty soon, so we can have it ready by Christmas time, Christmas parades and all that for parking areas throughout the city for all the community. And the crack filling. We started the crack filling also on the week 2, Chief, which is the west side from Fairground Road all the way to Charco Blanco. That's week 2 to the west side. I have a crew working out there on the crack filling also. And
We
drainage.
have all the equipment. I mean, are
We
we
have
good
our
with
new
equipment?
crew
Do we need to
working,
get
sir.
any new equipment for crack filling?
We're working with what we have right now, Mayor. Hopefully, we don't need a new one, but if we need some, pretty sure we'll bring it up to you people, so have an idea. The
Well, and
cost.
that one, and the reason I mentioned that is obviously crack filling is gonna be something that we absolutely need to focus
It's
on.
very,
because
very
it extends the
important for our
longevity of the
streets.
street, right?
Yes, it's very, very important to avoid water from going into their sub bases. And we have been also working on drainage systems throughout the city, sir. And I've been talking to AEP also concerning about street lighting. We're gonna have to get some additional street lighting throughout the city. The chief has been asking for it. So I'm trying to get some quotations before we move on with additional street lighting for the city. So those are some of the issues that we, and a lot more, tree trimming and, you name it, Mayor. We've been working out throughout the city, so. I just wanted to let you know things that we're working on, so you guys have an idea what we're doing, sir.
Mr. Guerra, I know you mentioned striping, but one of the concerns that I've been notified about, and I've seen it myself, on 3167, coming onto 83, there where stripes is at. Both left and right lane may turn, but you have to stay in your lane once you're turning, but people on the left side tend to drift to the right side, either to enter stripes or just, I guess they're not paying attention, so I don't know if we can contact TxDOT about maybe putting more signage or brighter striping.
That's
It
on
just seems that that's a constant
3167,
problem.
3167 and 83?
Hospital Road, right, coming up to 83, turning left, they're both lanes are turning, but the one on the left side tends to drift towards the right and onto traffic which is also turning.
Right, sir.
So that's been a problem that I've noticed, and I've been told about them, yeah.
I'll be sure and contact the right people on TxDOT.
Additional
so we can-
signage on the pole, maybe brighter striping, I don't know, I mean.
Yeah, something that has to be worked on, a little traffic study that you need to do there.
Since the arrows do not extend over to the middle of the street as you're coming into so you see it on 3167, but you don't see anything else beyond that. And I think that's what they're gonna need, because I've seen that type of striping in other areas, where it
Okay, sir.
directs you to go into the proper lane from 3167 over to 283. But we
You
don't
know,
do that
it
here,
needs to
so.
be a dotted area, dotted shaded line that has to be
Right.
done there.
Takes
So
you to the
people have
lane.
an idea of where to turn, not to overdo it and have an accident, create an accident. So I'll be sure to check into that, Mayor.
Thank you. Please.
Porque I've been talking to Texas about our one-way signs also in San Antonio and some other areas, that we need the one-way signs, because once you get to a street light, they're all faded, they're no good anymore. So I've been contacting these people also for that, and I wanted some shaded, traffic lights. You know, because as you know, with the sun, sometimes you cannot see them. Okay, this other way, you can really see them, Mayor. I've been talking to these people also with TechStop, so hopefully they'll get it done pretty soon. No, unless you have some other things, Mayor, Council?
No, on those, on 83, going both ways, which would be Main and Second on 83. But that's something that we can ask for too, because you've seen those lighted signs that has a street name, but they're also lit up, especially at night. But if Texas could put some of those there too, would be a welcome addition as opposed to the other type of signage.
Right, sir.
You know which ones I'm talking about? Actually, at night you could see, and it's lit up.
Okay.
Lighted sign, right underneath the
Yes.
traffic light,
Yeah, I stop ahead sign.
as far as the street name and so on.
I'll check.
Doesn't
into-
hurt to ask, right?
Yeah, that's right, Mayor. You're absolutely correct. It doesn't hurt to ask. And, but I'll be sure and contact the right people that are in charge of this area for us. And, hopefully try to get it for them to fix it, Mayor.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Guerra.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You all
Will
have
you
a
be
good
at the
evening.
grito contest, sir?
Monday?
Are you gonna be at the grito contest?
Sir, I'll be there.
You got another one, Ms. Rubio. Signed up. Any other volunteers for the grito contest? Any others? Takers? All right. Anyone else for departmental reports?
Somebody else has something to mention.
All right, moving on to item 2, consent agenda. Letter A and B.
I move, Mayor, item 2A and B.
I'll second it.
We have a motion to approve item 2A and 2B by Commissioner Escobedo, second by Commissioner Olivares. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes. Next item is a public hearing, letter A, public hearing regarding the proposed City of Rio Grande City ad valorem tax rate, 0.527868 for 100 valuation. And at this time, it is 6:37 p.m. and open the public hearing. Do we have anyone signed up or who wishes to speak on behalf of this item? Item 3A. If the record, this time we're closing the end of public hearing. It is 6:37 p.m. Next item is item 3B, public hearing to solicit input from the public regarding the City of Rio Grande City proposed budget for fiscal year 2023-2024, and it is I still have 6:37 p.m.
With 50 seconds.
So, public hearing is opened. Anyone would like to wish and speak on behalf of item 3B? Anybody signed up for this? Okay, for the record, no one signed up. And at this time, once more, any takers? No takers. This time, we're ending the public hearing. It is 6:38 p.m. Now, item 4, presentation, letter A.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to it.
Thanks for this one. Mayor, for the record, we need to have a record vote on the public hearing.
We can have the record vote when we reach items 60 and 60. So just for the record, 3A relates to items 60 and 60. That's the adoption of those items. And then 3B relates, that's a public hearing to item 6E. That's for the second reading of the ordinance adopting the budget. So that's when we will hold a record vote.
Okay. So we can just move on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Next item is 4, presentation, letter A, presentation of the cost proposal from KPIX Consulting Group to conduct a water and wastewater rate study and a long-term financial plan.
Yes, Mayor, Mr. Snowden is on live here. He wasn't able to make it in person, so all the setup is ready for you all to have that presentation. And Mr. Cantu is also here for you if you have any questions.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the Commission. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Hello, Mr. Snowden.
Great. Thank you for letting me be associated with the city. And I believe the agenda item, I'm not sure, it sounded like the agenda item was related to my original proposal, which you've already acted upon. Tonight's agenda item, I'll refer to your city manager. I don't know if this is an action item or information on it. I've actually got rate recommendations for water and sewer for you to consider acting on. It's a 5-year rate plan, which would be, I've done, this would be my third 5-year rate plan I've prepared for Rio Grande City, where I do rate recommendations and an ordinance that you would adopt, and that would steadily escalate your rates each year over the next 5 years. Can I get a clarification? Is this, are y'all considering those rates tonight, or is this information only?
On those rates and your overall findings on the rate study.
That's correct.
It's just a report.
At this point, we're at the presentation.
Presentation.
Excellent, okay. Thank you. I have a presentation, and I don't know if y'all have the hard copy there. I'm going to share my screen, and I'll have it up for discussion. Okay, I have the host has disabled screen sharing. Is there a way to enable that, or do the members of the commission have the hard copy, or is it up on the screen there for y'all to look at?
We'll go ahead and give you the access to be able to share it on the screen.
Can you try now?
Can you share it now, Mr. Snowden? Snowden.
Yes.
Still getting the message that that screen sharing is disabled.
Give us a second.
Okay, he wants to share his screen.
Yes, but I'm not sure what you did with that one.
Should I go ahead and start talking? Okay, perfect. There it is. Okay, thank you. And I'll just ask that you advance to the next slide, please, and I'll start with a discussion. So I've prepared a water and wastewater rate study, 5-year rate plan for you, and the primary driver is your pursuit of financing with the Texas Water Development Board for your upcoming projects. So I put that in there, really. That's the driver. What rates do we need at the residential, commercial, industrial, wholesale level over the next 5 years to pay the cost of operating the system, and then also the new debt that you're going to be taking on, as well as your existing debt? And so I'm looking at how much residential drives expense versus commercial versus wholesale. And I want to make sure there's no subsidy. And as we proceed, you'll see where we've addressed that over time, and I think that we've done a good job, and we'll get to that slide. But I'll continue to advance, and I'm glad to stop at any point and ask and respond to questions. If you'll go to slide 3. Slide 3. This is just a summary of your gross system. How much water comes in raw, how much you treat as a percentage, and how much you sell through a meter, and then finally how much ends up at your sewer plant. And I've highlighted 2014 and 15. That was the year when real water supply went offline and started treating their own water. And you can see that that was a big hit to your water sales. You can see in metered water consumption, you went in 2014 from 942 million gallons. 2015, it dropped to 711 million gallons. And so we got through that. We got through that loss. And now, if you look at the end of 22, you're back up to selling about 745 million gallons per year. And so that's what we have to work with through the meter. And I'll advance the slide. Okay. This is a summary of how many accounts you serve and what kind of customers they are. So on the water side, you've got 6,173 customers. You're adding about 72 new water accounts a year. Primarily of that, 65 are residential. Residential is by far your biggest class. Same with sewer. On the sewer side, you've got 5,331, 4,700 of those is residential. And you're adding about 75. You're growing sewer slightly more than water, so that's good. You can see at the bottom right, over time, you've grown new accounts by about 1.1% a year. And I've got data on you going all the way back, actually to 2005. This says 2008, but I've got some more years before that. So you have a consistent growth that we can rely on to help add customers to the system, add revenue, but also add obligations to Rio Grande City for treatment, high service pumping, water lines, everything else that comes with that. Please go to slide 5, which slide 5 just talks about forecasting. So I'm using 1.24% a year. And that is a little higher than your average growth over the last 5 years, but it's right in the middle of where you recorded growth for the last 15 years. And the last 5 years was influenced a little bit by COVID. So I wanted to stick with a longer term. And so I just went with a 1.24%, which is, I think, a very conservative number. And that means that I'm going to grow your system as you have over the last 5 years. I'm going to grow it by about 72 water accounts, 75 sewer accounts each year. And that's important because we're going to pursue debt, and they're going to want to know what our forecasts are on new customers. So with no questions on that, I'll move on to slide 6. Slide 6 is just a quick summary of your cost to operate the system and the revenue you've brought in. You can see where your water sales, you're at about this is your adopted budget. You're at about $3.9 million is what you're forecasting your water sales to be for 24, about 1.8 million in sewer. And then if you add your other costs, some garbage sales, other revenue, you'll bring in about 6.5 million. And you can see there at the bottom, you're going to pay out about 3.5 million. That leaves you $3 million net, but that's before debt. And debt's a big number. And we're going to go to that next, which is slide 7. So slide 7, this is all your debt that water and sewer pay for. And if you will please look there on the very bottom, the Series 2023 combination for $5.6 million, that's your Water Development Board debt that your team is submitted for and that you're trying to lock in. And that's based, by the way, $5.6 million is 50% of the project cost. We're assuming that Water Development Board is going to give you a 50% forgiveness. We used to call it grant, now they call it forgiveness. So you're at an $11.2 million project, which hopefully you'll end up only having to repay half of, which is $5.6 million. So that's built in there, but you can see that your balances, your original amounts were 45 million. Right now you got 22.7 million in debt as of the end of 23. And what does that mean for your annual payment? That's the big number. That's in slide 8. So if you'll advance to slide 8, this is the number. So you can see here In 2023, your total debt was 767,000, but that's about to pop with this new debt. In 24, it goes to 1.9 million, and in 25, it goes to 2.2 million. $2.2 million a year every year for debt. And you can see it stays there through 2030, and then it starts to drop a little bit. But the next 5 to 8 years in front of us are large debt payment years that we really need new rates to cover. And I'll just give you a forecast. We've got very moderate rate increases recommended that can fund this. In my opinion, very moderate. Rio Grande City's always had very low rates relative to the peers in the valley, which we'll show you, and I think we're going to stay that way. But this is the challenge that's before us. How do we get your system up and running where it can fund a $2.2 million debt payment every year? Please go to slide 9. Slide 9 is where I look at how much your different customer classes use in water versus how much they pay in money. And you can see residential. Residential uses 52% of all the water treated and distributed, and they pay in 56% of the revenue. So they slightly subsidize the other customer classes, which are commercial, irrigation, and then wholesale, which is El Tanque El South. So who receives that subsidy? Well, it's El Tanque El South. They use 23% of the total water. They pay in 16% of the total revenue. Now, I've got rate increases in my recommendations for El Tanque El South, which partially resolve that, which we have always, I started doing your rates in 2004. And back then the subsidy was much greater. Residential was really carrying El Tanque El South and Rio, significant subsidy. We've corrected that partially, but there's still a small component of it. And I'm recommending that we continue to partially correct it. We don't, I don't want to put you in a position where, like Rio Water Supply, you might lose El Tanque El South, where they would be compelled to build their own plants. So we want to gently raise their rates, and I think this plan accomplishes that. If there's no questions, I'll move to slide 10.
Yeah, well, the only question, can you go back to that? So if I hear correctly, it's the usage total is 23.4%, but when it comes to revenues, it's 16.1%. So therefore, it's off as far as what they're utilizing and what we're actually getting in return. So the return on investment for that one is really something that we need to go back and revisit.
Losing money?
We're in essence losing money from that one. Is that correct?
You could phrase it that way. The way I would say it is, you've got a cost that we want all of our customer classes to pay their share of. When I look at El Tanque and El South, they're not paying their share fully, but residential is making that up. Right. And so that's why I think that El Tanque and El South should have higher degree of rate increases than residential to eliminate that subsidy over the 5 years. You're making all the money you need to pay your expenses and your debt, but the sources of the money we need to correct.
Thank you.
And Mr. Snowden, and for the City Commission's consideration, there is a corresponding action item which is going to be 6A, I believe, and that's a first reading of the ordinance that has been recommended by Mr. Snowden. So while this is a presentation item, I just want to note to the Commission that it's related to that 6A ordinance.
Okay, thank you. That's very helpful. Very helpful. And I'm going to assume that ordinance that I drafted up has received your scrutiny and edits, Counselor?
That is correct, and it's subject to first reading today.
Without any additional questions, I'll move on to slide 10, which is, this is a comparison of Rio Grande City's rates to all the other cities in the Rio Grande Valley. Well, all the other peer group cities that are of similar size and larger. So this is at 5,000 gallons combined water sewer, which is very close. Your average customer currently uses 6,000 gallons a month. So this is a very close comparison to that. So you can see that right now, a customer using 5,000 gallons gets a bill for $50.15, which is slightly below the valley average of $50.87. You can see that really the only cities that are lower than you are much larger, the big cities in the valley. Actually, Far's bigger than you, and so is Westlaco, and they've got higher rates. But I am convinced when I review the peer group data that you can tell your customers that they receive a really good value for the service you provide to them. Okay, but lower than the average, and we've been very intentional in keeping it that way. I also want to advise you that several of these cities are my clients, and they're in the middle of rate studies where their rates will be going up. La Jolla has already adopted a 5-year rate plan that they're in the middle of. San Benito as well. I already said La Jolla. Awasad is also in the middle of a 5-year. They're going to be in year 2. There's some others here. Mercedes is also my client. And they're in the middle of a 5-year rate plan. There's some unique challenges in Mercedes we won't get into, but my point is you've got a very fair and competitive rate structure for residential that you can, if your customers ask, we can demonstrate to them that you're very competitive and below average rates for the valley. Slide 11 is the same information, but for 10,000 gallons. So if someone...
Mr. Snowden, okay, so on this graph, just to be clear, and it is very clear here, you're looking at, in comparison to the other 5 municipalities, they all have over 100,000 people, versus we're at 15,600 or almost 16,000. But this definitely highlights our rates and how, as you said, very modest rates, very reasonably priced as far as for the service that's being provided. Definitely, this graph will help us in moving with this item in the future. So it's very clear. Thank you for that clarification there.
Sure, glad to do it. And as you just mentioned, these other cities that are less rates than you, they have a way more ratepayers to distribute cost among, much bigger than you. So this is really a testament to your staff's efforts to and continue to provide competitive water rates. And that's something we want to build on in this next 5-year plan that I have for your consideration. Slide 11 provides the same information, but for 10,000 gallons a month. Now that's a much higher consumption rate, which very few of your customers hit. But you can see that at that level of consumption, you're at $80.90 per month. It's about $7 greater than the peer group average. But that does not affect very many of your customers. Only the higher demanding customers that typically have more disposable income to contribute to water wastewater. So, and that was by design based on the direction of your predecessors on the commission. They said, no, let's keep things affordable for the low volume users, and the higher volume users will pay more based on that volume demand. And so that's why you see that number. Okay, slide 12. So let's talk about our residential customer class, which is the biggest one. And if you'll please focus on average number of accounts there, which is 3 columns in. You're at 5,453 accounts. You're growing by about 1% a year. And if you'll look, the very next column over, average gallons per month, you're at 6,500 gallons a month in 2011. In 2022, you went below 6,000. So you've got, over time, people are reacting to our rates and using slightly less water. They're conserving, putting in low flow fixtures, etc. Well, let's look at that and see how that's affected our revenue. Well, our average revenue per account in 2011 was $28.79. Last year, it was $33.89. So what we're doing by gradually increasing rates, we're not rate shocking your customers where they cut consumption by a large degree. They're cutting consumption, but very small. So the net effect is you're growing your revenue. You're growing your revenue by about 1.5% a year. So the last thing we want is to put in a big rate increase that's supposed to generate another $1 million a year, but people are using so much less water that you lose $2 million a year. That would definitely be a demonstration of me not doing my job correctly and my recommendation. So we always want to avoid that. And you can see by the history that we've been successful with that. I'm going to move on to slide 13, which is commercial rates. So where do you stand on your commercial rates relative to your peer group? You're right at the average. This is for 50,000 gallons of monthly water and sewer use. And you're at 392, which is within $3, a little less than $3 of the peer group average. So we can also tell your commercial customers that they're receiving very competitive rates there in Rio Grande City. I have the same information in slide 14, but for that, this is for a very large 200,000 gallon a month customer. And you can see they're actually below the peer group average. Their peer group average $1,500, $14. You're at $1,400. You're $114 less than the peer group. So for your economic development team, if they're trying to lure in a larger industrial user and that industrial user asks about your water and sewer rates, your answer is going to be, we're very competitive, especially for high flow users. That was also done by design over time. Please go to slide 15. So slide 15 gives you that same data on commercial accounts, and you can see commercial has reacted pretty strong over time. This is valley-wide to using less water. In 2011, the average commercial customer used 34,000 gallons a month. Last year, they used 21,500 gallons. They've dropped that consumption by 4% a year on average. And what has that done to our revenue? Well, you can look at it two ways. Average dollars per account per month was $125 in 2011. It is $124 in 2022. We flatlined there, but now look at the average revenue per 1,000 gallons. In 2011, you were at $3.67 per 1,000 gallons. Last year, you were at $5.74. So we're holding our ground on our revenue for our commercial customers by increasing that cost per 1,000 gallons, even though they're cutting consumption. And I think 2022 was a bad year, and I think that 23 should be better. I've got partial data on 23, but it wasn't enough. So I'm thinking that consumption is going to go back up. But that's our situation with commercial. Slide 16 is just a very quick summary. Our rates that we've built over time have a minimum charge and a per 1,000 gallon volumetric charge. The minimum charge is based on the meter size, and it's very important. When your engineers come to you and say you need projects, they typically talk to you about peak demands and how your peak demands have to be satisfied with new capacity. And what drives those peak demands are the sizes of the meters. And if you'll look at a 2-inch meter versus a 5/8-inch meter, you can see far right column. 5/8-inch meter needs to provide 10 gallons per minute of continuous flow. 2-inch meters got to provide 100 gallons a minute, 10 times. So it's because those meter sizes drive your flow, which ultimately drive how much you got to invest in your system. It's reasonable that minimum charge based on the meter size be increasing as the meters get bigger. And that's been really one of our successes in Rio Grande City, is to ask those larger meter users to pay more. And they have done that. And incidentally, the larger meters are also, they typically are schools and then nationwide installation like hotels like Hampton Inns and La Quintas. And Walmart's, folks that they've got installations everywhere with 2-inch or 4-inch meters, and they understand the need for a higher minimum charge. So we don't get as much pushback on those as we do from residential. So that's also a positive there. I'm going to move on to slide 17. So slide 17 shows what I'm forecasting. How would your system operate over the next 5 years if you left the rates exactly the way they are today, but you borrowed the money from Water Development Board that we discussed? And you can see that according to my forecast, beginning in 2025, you would be $240,000 to the negative, and that would grow to where by 2028, you would be $620,000 to the negative. So each year you would have to make the choice to either cut something from water and sewer, which would be very difficult, or more than likely subsidize it with your ad valorem tax revenue, which you don't want to do. The best way to recover the true cost of water and sewer is to put rates in place that are built based on the needs of water and sewer only. So what this table shows you is the current rates would not be sufficient to put you in a position to borrow that money and do the water plant. I'm going blank on the project. Is it a water plant or a sewer plant expansion that y'all are working on with Water Development Board? It's a water plant, I remember now. So Water Development Board at this point, they would look at this and go, you need to raise rates or we can't really, or else you need to agree to subsidize with ad valorem taxes if you want the money. Well, we don't want to put you in that position, so let's continue. Slide 18. This is really probably the most important slide, I would think, from your perspectives, which is if you were to adopt the rates that I'm recommending, how would that affect your customers? Well, here we go. This is a residential customer. You can see they're averaging about 5,951 gallons per month during the regular year and 5,500 gallons during winter. So right now, and let's focus on 6,000 gallons. Right now, that customer gets a bill for water and sewer of $56.28 per month. I would recommend that go up beginning the first of the fiscal year by $2.27. So the average customer's bill goes from $56.28 to $58.55. That's about a 4% increase. Thereafter, the following October, it would go from $58 to $60.84, and so on, to where by October of 27, you would have raised rates on average 3.8% a year, or increased your customer's bill by $2.31 per month each year, which in my view is a very modest increase to your rates. Actually much less than the rate of inflation that folks on fixed income are receiving right now. So I'm glad. That's a pretty important slide. I'm going to stop and make sure I can answer any questions that y'all may have on that before I proceed.
So, for example, you're talking about the 155, that's 2,000 gallons, right? Now, if it's at 6,000, then it's at 231. 10,000 be 312. Is that correct? Am I reading that correctly, as you mentioned?
You sure are, yes, sir. That's correct.
Okay.
Those are the average annual dollar increases on the monthly bill.
Any questions, Commissioners?
Thank you, gentlemen. With your permission, I'll proceed.
Go ahead.
So the next slide is, assuming that you adopt these rates and that the rest of your peer group raises rates by 5% a year, which is actually, I think, very conservative. Some of those that I'm representing are looking at rate increases that are larger than 5%. But let's assume that they raise rates by 5% a year. Where would Rio Grande City rate in 5 years, so in 2028? And you can see here that you would still be below the peer group average in 5 years. So we could demonstrate that you'll still be very competitive if everyone in the valley were to only raise rates by 5%. If you read the local newspapers, you'll probably see where a lot of them are considering rate increases that are much more aggressive than 5%. So I hope that helps you in your decision. The consideration for tonight is actually something that will not put you at a disadvantage for competing for residential or commercial growth. It'll actually, you can demonstrate to a developer or a new resident that your rates in 5 years will be below the peer group average, just like they are now. I have in the next slide, slide 20, the same information on commercial. Commercial is about 25,000 gallons a month is your average commercial. So let's look at them. So right now they pay $224.03 per month. And I would recommend that go up by about $8.50, a little under 4%. So 224 becomes 232 beginning October, becomes 241 in October of 24, and so on until we get to year 5 in October of 27, when they would have been subject to 3.7% rate increases for 5 years. Very low. We want to be respectful of the trend they have for using less water. We want to push them to use any less or make that decline go any faster. So that was the thinking behind these rates. And we can look on slide 21. What would your commercial rates, how would they compare to the valley if everyone else in the valley raised commercial rates by 5% per annum? You can see that you would still actually be 2 notches below the peer group average for your commercial. So again, with your EDC folks, if they have a prospect and they're asking about water, sewer, and the competitive nature of your rates, you have a very compelling story to share with them to attract new customers. I'm going to go to slide 22. Just a brief, this is how I'm proposing El Tanque and El Saus, how their rates escalate over the 5 years. They're a slightly higher percentage than residential and commercial. And that is precisely so we can continue to gradually address the subsidy that they receive. We want them to pay closer to the percent. We like their percentage of revenue to be closer to their percentage of total water use. And for that reason, my recommendations for them are slightly higher than residential and commercial. And I'm walking a fine line here because I don't want to compel them to do what Rio did in 2014 to go to USDA and say, hey, we want to build our own water plant, and you lose all that revenue. So that's one of the considerations that I thought through when I put these numbers together. I'm going to go to slide 23. What is your cash flow for your system if you adopt the rates I'm recommending and you borrow the funds from Water Development Board and get the 50% forgiveness that Water Development Board is pursuing? Well, you can see that these rates would generate modest surpluses. We're not talking about rates that are going to make water, sewer, a cash cow at all. We're very modest. They would generate in 24 about 361,000 surplus revenue, and then that number would grow slightly through 2028 when it would hit about 677,000. But that's very important. That's under the assumption you don't borrow any additional money. And who knows between now and the next 5 years what kind of capital expenditures you'll be hit with due to just the age of your system, the depreciation, everything else that you face, that your staff and public utilities face on a daily basis. So the point of this slide is we can demonstrate to Water Development Board the rates will repay the debt, cover your coverage ratios, and provide for modest surpluses, but in no circumstance are we building a cash cow system that would subsidize the general fund or anything like that. We're very lean operation is what you have always run, and these rates would allow you to continue to do that. I'll go to slide 4, which are just some last steps. I have incorporated your staff's comments already. It's my job to listen to your comments tonight, and if you have some considerations, I'm glad to incorporate those into the study. As far as validating financing assumptions, I think we've already done that. I know we've already done that. Lionel and thank you, Lionel, for doing that. I wanted to make sure the 50% forgiveness was accurate, and he's done that. So we have validated those. And then the last thing would be to consider adopting the ordinance, which I've drafted up and that your internal counsel has reviewed. And that's the end of my prepared statements. And I want to thank y'all again for allowing me to be of service, and I'm glad to answer any questions.
Any questions, commissioners? Thank you, Mr. Snowden. Appreciate it. Excellent presentation. Is he still there?
Thank you so much. I really appreciate
Thank you.
that.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Would y'all like me to stay on for when you consider the action item later on in the agenda for the ordinance?
We'll go to it now then. At this point, if no one objects, which item was it?
It would be 6A.
6A. If no one objects, we're going to move over to item 6A. Objection. So this time is first reading and approval of ordinance number 2023-13, an amendment to ordinances numbers 2002-5, 2003-1, 2004-14, 2005-23, revising section 16-207A1 of chapter 16, utilities of the Code of Municipal Ordinances of the City of Rio Grande City by adopting a revised schedule for water-related rates to be effective October 1st, 2023, providing an effective date and providing for publication. This time, do we have any questions by commissioners or any other clarification on this? If not,
Do you need a motion?
It'd be a motion to approve the first reading.
okay, we have a motion to approve item 6A. By Commissioner Olivares, second by Commissioner Ramirez. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Snowden.
Thank you again. It's really a pleasure to be of service to the city.
Next item is back to 5A, resolutions, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve resolution number 2023-11A, an amendment to resolution number 2023-11 of the City of Rio Grande City Commission adopted on August 9th, 2023, authorizing and approving the Rio Grande City Economic Development Corporation's projects to expend funds in accordance with an economic development agreement by and between the RGC, EDC, and the City of Rio Grande City Public Safety, Subdivision Infrastructure, the City of Rio Grande City Parcel Development of the Public Safety Building, and the Parcel Development of Fordyce under the Texas Government Code, Chapter 505, to promote and develop new or expanded business enterprises as provided by Texas Government Code Subchapter C, Section 501.101. That is a long one.
Wow. That's all I can
Got
say.
winded here. All right. Go
So
ahead.
just to go back to what you said, our council is required to adopt a resolution authorizing EDC projects that are of an expense of $10,000 or more, and give that resolution 2 separate readings. As you said earlier, we did have a resolution presented to the City Commission on July 26th, and a second reading on August 9th. This amendment, as you said earlier, adds the public safety building subdivision infrastructure, the EDC parcel development at the same subdivision, as well as the EDC parcel development at Fordyce. So it's just part of the process to add these projects to the original resolution.
Do any further discussion or entertain a motion at this
Also,
time?
Mayor, approve of item 5A.
We have a motion to approve item 5A by Commissioner Ramirez. Second by Commissioner De Leon. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes. Thank you. Thank you. Next item is 6B. 6B is second reading of ordinance number 2023-10, an ordinance amending and restating the city's personnel policies, specifically sections 1, city statement, 2, recruitment and selection, 3, job descriptions, 4, salaries, 5, overtime, 6, employee benefits, 10.08 technology use policy, 10.09 dress code, and 13 drug-free workplace policy. Changes to sections 5 and 6 are made to track applicable language in local government code chapters 142 and 143 as they relate to police officers and fire personnel, and to comply with HB 471, 567, 1486, 1661, 2468, and 3335. Changes to 10.08 and 10.09 are in response to HB 1893 and 567. Changes to section 13 concern the classification of city staff that are subject to drug testing as well as testing procedures. The ordinance furthermore provides for an effective date of September 1st, 2023.
And my apologies to the commission again for a winded reading, but this is one of the most comprehensive overhauls of the city's personnel policies. A lot of it had to do with new legislation. Between the first reading and the second reading, we did receive some input from Assistant Chief Solis and Chief Moniz from the police departments and fire departments respectively. And those that input related to the overtime. So I'd like to note to the commission that this ordinance, there are 3 schedules to it. It's A, B, and C. Schedule A is the personnel policies as they were prior to the effective date of this ordinance. Schedule B is the revisions, are the revisions to the ordinance, and Schedule C is the policies, and the Schedule C is the personnel policies as they will look moving forward once this is adopted. So there is a supplement to Schedule B, which notes the revisions that were requested, and then Schedule C has been revised. And so the request here, at least the recommendation from legal, is that there's a motion to approve as supplemented and revised. The ordinance has also been updated to acknowledge what I've just conveyed to the commission. I believe the effective date will be today, September 13th.
Okay,
I move that we approve 6B as supplemented and revised as recommended as per legal's presentation.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve item 6B by Commissioner Olivares, second by Commissioner Escobedo. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes. Next item is 6C, second reading and approval of ordinance number 2023-11A, an ordinance of the Rio Grande City, Texas, levying ad valorem taxes for maintenance and operations of the city of Rio Grande City, Texas for 2023-2024 fiscal year in conformity with the charter provisions and ordinances of the city and the property tax code of the state of Texas, providing for apportioning each levy and specific purposes, providing when taxes shall become due and when same shall become delinquent if not paid, providing for a repealer, providing for publication, and ordaining the provisions related to the subject matter hereof.
Mr. Mayor and City Commission, agenda items 6C and 6D may be considered together but must be approved separately. The only difference in the reading is that 6D applies to the debt service. Both of these items correlate to the public hearing item 3A, and this is the second reading adopting the M&O and the debt service.
Okay, so at this time we'll consider item 6D as well, which is second reading and approval of ordinance number 2023-11B, an ordinance of Rio Grande City, Texas, levying ad valorem taxes for debt service of the municipal government of the city of Rio Grande City, Texas for the 2023-2024 fiscal year in conformity with the charter provisions and ordinances of the city and the property tax code of the state of Texas, providing for apportioning each levy and specific purposes, providing when taxes shall become due and when same shall become delinquent if not paid, providing for a repealer, providing for publication, and ordaining other provisions related to the subject matter hereof. This time, so we have item 6C.
Okay.
And it is going to be a record vote.
That is correct, and on page 88 of 168 of the packet, that is the language for the vote.
Just to clarify, again, Mr. Cantu, the motion is to raise by 7.0%, but in essence, we're decreasing.
Right.
Am I correct to say that?
Yeah.
Because I know people will be confused by the way we read it, but in essence, I mean, we're not
Right, the
increasing
reason
or
for
lowering?
that is the valuations went up, so we're actually bringing the tax rate down, but we're collecting more because the valuations went up, so in essence, we're increasing our revenues like on property taxes by.
Again, to reiterate that point, the tax rate will go down from 56 to 50 to some.
50.5278.
Stated there, but we are increasing revenues as a result of all the development and growth that has occurred and additional properties and so on.
So with that, I'll make a motion. I move that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of 0.527868, which is effectively a 7.04% increase in the tax rate, and which is adopted by the City Commission as follows.
For the record vote, and again, this is for ordinance number 2023-11-11A. So here's where we take the vote.
Okay. Mayor Villarreal,
In favor?
Commissioner Ramirez,
In favor.
Commissioner De Leon,
In favor.
Commissioner Olivares,
In favor.
Commissioner Escobedo,
In favor.
motion passes.
And next one was 6D. And I know there's a motion in your packet.
And that would be on page 92, also subsection A of the recitals.
Mayor, I move that the property rate, tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of 0.527868, which is effectively a 7.04% increase in the tax rate. And, well, I think that's my motion.
Okay, Mayor Villarreal,
In favor?
Commissioner Ramirez,
In favor.
Commissioner De Leon,
In favor.
Commissioner Olivares,
In favor.
Commissioner Escobedo,
In favor.
motion passes.
Now, again, just the tax rate will be going down from 56 to 52 some, point something. And again, but the revenues collected will be more as a result of all the development. And that needs to be clear because I know we're going to be getting asked those questions. For clarification, the tax rate will be going down. So
How many points is it, Mr. Canto? How many cents less?
It's close to 4 cents, 3 point, I'm not sure. We had a 0.56, we're going to 0.52.
the 3 points, almost the 4
Almost the
cents.
4 cents, that's good.
As far as the tax rate going up. All right, anything else on those? The next item is 6E, second reading and approval of ordinance number 2023-12, an ordinance of the City of Rio Grande City, Texas, adopting the 2023-2024 City of Rio Grande City municipal budget for October 1st, 2023 to September 30, 2024, providing an effective date, providing for publication, providing a severability clause, and ordaining other provisions of the subject matter thereof.
And this is the second reading on the proposed budget. Our proposed budget's already posted online. It's been posted there since the last meeting of August 23rd. We had some minor changes in some line items, but nothing major, so this would be the second reading and approving the budget. Again, this budget proposed a $2,500 raise for fire and police, a $1 raise across the board for every employee in the city. It incurred a $100,000 increase in health insurance that's fully paid for by the city. And that pretty much covered the bulk of the budget.
And again, to reiterate that point, is a $2,500 for police and fire, dollar and some, which comes out to about 2,000 some.
2,080 for every employee.
Some for all employees, plus the insurance, which again, to stress that point that employees, in essence, we pay the
Correct.
full premium for
100% covered by the
insurance.
city.
Covered. So, all right, do we entertain a motion at this time?
And Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, the language for the motion is found on page 96. It is the fifth recital, it's in quotations.
Someone will look at it?
Mayor, I move that the City Commission adopt and approve the budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2023, and ending September 30th, 2024, as presented.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Ramirez.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Olivares.
Record vote.
The record vote.
Mayor Villarreal,
In favor?
Commissioner Ramirez,
In favor.
Commissioner De Leon,
In favor.
Commissioner Olivares,
In favor.
and Commissioner Escobedo,
In favor.
motion passes.
Congratulations to all employees. We're going to have a fantastic year next year, even better than this for fiscal year.
Thank you, Mayor Commissioner.
Congratulations. The next item is 6F, second reading for ordinance number 2023-06, adopting right-of-way and easement regulations for the management, construction, excavation, and placement of underground electric utilities, establishing fees and providing for penalties for ordinance violations.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. This is the ordinance requiring developers for underground utilities, proposed new development, and Planning and Zoning had a recommendation to make both residential and commercial to underground utilities, obviously where possible. There are some areas that obviously won't be recommended by both AP and they're unfeasible to do underground utilities. But other than that, ordinance is the same except the recommendations for both residential and commercial.
We entertain a motion at this time.
How would we determine if they were not able to do that? Who would determine that, if it would not be feasible to do that at that location?
AP's got some recommendations also, and but mostly it's the terrain. We have areas, the best example is right here in Las Lomas, that is solid rock. I've seen machines break before they get digging to lay a water or a sewer line. I've personally seen it, and that's where it's unfeasible to do underground utilities and obviously the leveling, etc. It's a lot of
Well, it
factors.
gives us the flexibility to make some potential determinations there through our planning department. Right. And not just straight out and then no way out, so.
And you're recommending approval, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
I move that we approve item 6F as recommended by planning.
We have a motion to approve item 6F by Commissioner Olivares. Second by Commissioner De Leon. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes. Next item is 6G, second reading for ordinance number 2023-07, an ordinance amending and restating the city's code of ordinance, chapter 13, subdivision, section 13-101 through 13-109 are amended and restated to track the language in subchapter A of chapter 212 of the local government code, including amendments made to the subchapter under HB 3699, and to increase fees relating to the plat approval process. HB 3699 provides for further mandates regarding the plat approval process and provides for the delegation of plat approvals to one or more officers or employees of the city. The ordinance further provides for severability as well as an effective date of September 1, 2023.
Again, this ordinance is basically in response to the new state requirements that it involves executive approval by the city manager and also the plot for the subdivision submittals, the new planning requirements.
We entertain a motion at this time, or any questions for Mr. Milan? Okay, we have a motion to approve item 6G by Commissioner Ramirez, second by Commissioner Olivares. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Milan. Next item is 7. Letter A, discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding surplus and auction of the city property, non-realty.
Yes, Mayor, the fire department has some surplus items. It's an old, I believe it's one of those jobs of life. It's about 10 years old. And I know that they were looking at another fire department in our area that needed one of those tools and they could put use to it. I think we have another 3, Chief. Do you want to come and kind of explain what we're talking about?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioner. Yes, we had some items in the on our equipment we no longer use and not serviceable anymore for our use. There's 3 sets of equipment, jaws of life, basically, with its accessories, that we in turn going to sell to La Rosita Fire Department in reference to getting the trucks painted as well. This is a change of painting the trucks. Basically, it was just a swap. Basically, they purchased that equipment. It was roughly around $4,000, and that's what it's going to cost us is to paint our truck, the Army truck that we recently got awarded.
Entertain a motion at this time.
I so move, Mayor.
A motion to approve item 7A by Commissioner Escobedo, second by Commissioner Olivares. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes. Next item, 7B, discussion, consideration, and possible action. Thank you, Chief. Action regarding the purchase of MCC 5500, dispatch position computer MCC 5500, console audio box, and other peripheral items from Daily Wells Communications needed by the Police Department and Fire Department.
Mayor, Commission, good evening. A few months ago, one of our radio consoles, we have two in our dispatch center, went down, more likely caused by a lightning strike to the building. We did contact our insurance company, who advised us that they would cover for the damages. We did go out to get quotes from Motorola Solutions. They came in at $206,000 with $51.86. We met a new company that we actually, both fire department and police department really liked their system, and they actually came in a little bit cheaper at $184,911 with 18 cents. The insurance advised us all we would have to cover is the deductible, which is $500, and they would cover the rest. We just need permission to go forward with the ordering of the equipment.
Entertain a motion.
That's a motion.
A motion to approve item 7B by Commissioner Ramirez, second by Commissioner Olivares. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes. Thank you, Chief. Next item is 7C, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve the allocation of ARPA funds in the amount of $4,650 for the concrete slab foundation used in the connectivity project for the Parks and Recreation Department.
This, Mayor, this was a project that was done by Parks and Recreation. There's next to veterans. There was a slab of cement, area for the students to actually, with a canopy with cement, and they won't get wet if it's too hot, that they could be under that canopy. They did do some of the ramps there also, the handicap ramps and the crossings, and if you go see it, I think Mr. Guillet and our PR department did post something regarding that, and there's 3 quotes attached to that, and that's the amount that actually cost the city.
I move that we approve item 7C.
And just to be clear, ARPA monies were good with that type of
Expense?
expense?
Yes, sir.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve item 7C by Commissioner Olivares, second by Commissioner Escobedo. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes. Next item is 8A, discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding the approval of expenditures and contracts valued less than $50,000 but more than $5,000 that comply with or exempt from section 25 or 252.0215 of the local government code.
Yes, Mayor, these are the applications for the items attached in your binder. The directors are here if you have any questions on them. We did pull one of the items that wasn't ready to go forward with, which was a chlorine dioxide generator. That should be coming up in the next meeting.
Okay, so to be clear, we're pulling this one.
Yes, the first one.
This one,
Okay.
which is the
first one.
the first one, chlorine dioxide generator.
Correct. We're not going to approve it.
Okay.
And all of these have been reviewed by finance also.
And staff is recommending approval for these?
Yes, sir.
That being said, Mayor, I move that we approve the agenda item, what is that, 8?
It's 8A.
8A, as recommended by staff.
Okay, we have a motion to approve item 8A by Commissioner Olivares. We have a second.
I'll second the motion.
Second by Commissioner Ramirez. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes. Next item is 9, planning. This letter A, discussion and possible action on final approval of the Vista del Norte Phase 2 subdivision.
Mayor Commissioners, this is a residential subdivision just north of Medina Electric on 3167. It's a residential plat. Um, It's served by sanitary sewer and an 8-inch water line. We got some of the pictures there enclosed in the package. It's got pavement, water, sewers, stop signage, everything is basically ready to be recorded. It's been recommended for approval by the Planning and Zoning Commission on August the 28th meeting.
I so move, Mayor.
I'll second the motion.
All right, so we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Escobedo, second by Commissioner Ramirez. Any further discussion on this item? Now, this one, just to be clear, it's within our ETJ.
Correct,
right?
immediate 1 mile ETJ.
But it's not inside city limits.
No, it's not. It's just north of our city boundaries. Actually, phase 1 is inside the city limits.
Okay. And just for the record here, as far or just for the information purposes, the owner is proposing to provide service the area with sanitary sewer.
Correct.
Within the CCNs of real water supply. Now, all right. So, any major issues on this one as far as?
It's done,
All right.
complete.
Have motion, second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes. At this time, it's item 10, executive session, chapter 551, Texas Government Code, section 551.071, section 501.072, and section 551.074, personnel matters. It is 7:40 p.m. back from executive session. It is 9:33 p.m. Item 11, reconvene into regular session in consideration of action on matters discussed during executive session, including the following. Have item 11A.
Mayor, I motion to approve as discussed in executive session.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Ramirez. Second by Commissioner De Leon. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes. Next item is 11B.
Mayor, I move that we approve item 11B as discussed in executive session.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Olivares, second by Commissioner De Leon. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes. Next item is 11C.
I so move, Mayor, as discussed in executive session.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Escobedo, 11C. Second by Commissioner De Leon. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes. Just final announcement, Chief. Of course, we have the market days slash grito for the community to come on out this Saturday. They're at the kiosk in downtown Rio Grande City from 6 to 10. So please come on out. It'll be a lot of fun and vendors and music and grito contest and jalapeno eating contest and tamales and you name it. So anybody please join us. We'll be having a great time. Also, just to reiterate the point about sales tax revenues, numbers are in. The month of September has been phenomenal, historical month. Compared to other months, again, historical high. The month of August was a historical high for any period or any month allocation in the history of Rio Grande City. And we are projected this year to have a historical year overall with the fiscal year. So excellent, bodes well for our EDC, for the community, for the staff. And congratulations to the staff too, as we approved the budget and including the salary increase plus continued payment of health insurance. So had a wonderful night. Thank you to the commission for that, to our EDC
Thank you for
board,
staying till the end of the meeting.
to our staff, well deserved, congratulations. And we certainly look forward to an exceptional year. We already have one this year, but I think that next year is going to be even better.
I agree.
With that, we entertain a motion to adjourn at
So
this
moved.
time. Have a motion to adjourn
I
by
second.
Commissioner Olivares, second by Commissioner Escobedo. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes. Meeting is adjourned, 9:35 p.m.